Welcome to our U.S. Briefing program. Today, we have some intriguing stories on the geopolitical front, starting with Saudi Arabia's willingness to mediate between the Trump administration and Iran in a bid to negotiate a new nuclear deal. This comes as tensions rise, with Saudi Arabia concerned about Iran's potential nuclear ambitions following recent regional developments. In sports news, the rivalry between the USA and Canada heated up on the ice during the four nations face-off in Montreal. The U.S. team celebrated a hard-fought victory, defeating Canada 3-1 amidst a backdrop of political tensions, with Canadian fans voicing their discontent during the U.S. national anthem. This match not only showcased athletic prowess but also reflected the current state of U.S.-Canada relations. Lastly, we dive into the thawing relations between the U.S. and Russia, as officials from both sides agree to discussions aimed at resolving issues stemming from the previous administration. With ongoing concerns over the conflict in Ukraine and the geopolitical landscape, this dialogue marks a significant shift in diplomatic engagement. Please stay tuned for more detailed coverage on these fascinating topics. CNN reports that Saudi Arabia is stepping up as a potential mediator between the Trump administration and Iran, aiming to negotiate a new nuclear deal to curb Tehran's nuclear ambitions. Concerned that Iran might be more inclined to develop a nuclear weapon following the weakening of its regional proxies, Riyadh seeks to leverage its close relationship with Trump to create a diplomatic pathway to the U.S. Although the Iranian leadership has issued mixed signals regarding negotiations, Saudi Arabia's recent normalization of relations with Iran, brokered by China, signals a significant shift. Riyadh is keen on ensuring that a nuclear agreement is reached to prevent a cornered Iran from pursuing nuclear capabilities, as they prioritize regional stability and economic interests. In a thrilling showdown at the four nations face-off, CNN highlights the intense rivalry between the USA and Canada, culminating in a 3-1 victory for the Americans in Montreal. The match was rife with physicality, as brothers Matthew and Brady Tkachuk set the tone with fights almost immediately after the puck dropped. Canadian superstar Connor McDavid initially put Canada ahead, but the U.S. quickly retaliated, with Jake Gensel scoring twice, including an empty net goal to seal the win. Brady Tkachuk embraced the villain role, acknowledging the hostile atmosphere created by Canadian fans, who booed the U.S. national anthem, underscoring the charged political climate between the two nations. Yahoo US reports on the pre-game tensions where Canadian fans booed the U.S. national anthem, a reflection of the ongoing political discord between the two countries, particularly following Trump's tariff announcements. This trend of booing has been seen at various sporting events, highlighting a growing animosity that extends beyond the ice. Players from both teams expressed their discontent with the disrespect shown during the anthem, emphasizing that the game should transcend political issues. The U.S. victory not only secured their place in the championship game but also marked the end of their encounters in Montreal, as the remaining matches will take place in Boston, away from the hostile Canadian crowd. South China Morning Post reports that Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio have initiated discussions to address the ongoing war in Ukraine and to dismantle unilateral barriers established by the previous U.S. administration. This dialogue follows a surprising call from former President Donald Trump to Russian President Vladimir Putin, leading to upcoming negotiations aimed at resolving the conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed concerns about his country's exclusion from these talks, emphasizing the need for consultation with strategic partners before engaging with Russia. The discussions aim to restore trade relations and improve diplomatic interactions, with both Lavrov and Rubio expressing a willingness to address pressing international issues, including the situation in Ukraine and the Middle East. In another piece from the South China Morning Post, a commentary reflects on the decline of the United States as a global empire, drawing on Ray Dalio's analysis of historical patterns of empire rise and fall. The article suggests that the U.S. is exhibiting classic signs of a declining power, such as resorting to threats instead of diplomacy and pressuring allies to maintain its economic dominance. The author highlights that the U.S. is now spending more on interest for its debt than on military expenditures, indicating a significant shift in priorities. As the U.S. grapples with its waning influence, the rise of China is noted as a key factor in this transition, suggesting a pivotal moment in global power dynamics. Al Jazeera provides an update on the Russia-Ukraine war, noting that Ukrainian President Zelensky has warned of Russian President Putin's attempts to manipulate the narrative around negotiations to portray himself as victorious over the U.S. Zelensky's comments at the Munich Security Conference underscore the complexities and challenges facing Ukraine as it navigates the ongoing conflict. The situation remains tense as both sides prepare for potential shifts in diplomatic engagement, with the international community closely monitoring the developments and their implications for regional stability. South China Morning Post reports on the emergence of DeepSeek, a Chinese AI company that could potentially challenge the dominance of the US dollar. Analysts from 91 suggest that DeepSeek's efficiency gains may reduce investment requirements and flatten technology barriers globally, which could weaken one of the US dollar's foundational supports, its technological leadership. The rise of DeepSeek has prompted a sell-off in American AI stocks and raised questions about the future of Chinese tech stocks. While the US dollar currently holds a strong position in international payments and reserves, the growing technological advancements in China, including the digital yuan, could create a more favorable environment for the yuan's internationalization. However, experts caution that the dollar's dominance is unlikely to be displaced soon, as it still relies on the relative strength of global powers and the ongoing competition between the US and China. Nikkei Asia highlights the complexities of the US dollar's status amid President Trump's executive order aimed at promoting private digital currencies while restricting the establishment of a central bank digital currency. This move reflects Trump's commitment to maintaining the dollar's supremacy, even as its share in global reserves has declined. The BRICS nations are exploring alternatives to the dollar for international transactions, particularly in response to US sanctions on Russia, which could lead to the creation of a non-dollar payment system. Despite these efforts, the dollar remains deeply entrenched in global finance, and the lack of unity within BRICS, particularly with India's reluctance, complicates the challenge to US currency dominance. Trump's administration's contradictory economic policies and the unpredictability of its currency strategy further contribute to the uncertainty surrounding the dollar's future, as his approach may inadvertently undermine confidence in the US economy. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.